All right. Hello, I'm back from feels like a long hiatus. So let's just make sure you can hear me. I check on my end. Always like to check. Okay. I can hear it on my end, so that's good. That's good news. Okay, we got a couple, like 1 minute, and then we're gonna get going here. And we'll see who joins us tonight. See what's happening in this YouTube world. Hi, YouTube. All of our stuff. Yes, I do have this open. Oh, perfect. Hmm. Well, that happens. I don't remember whatever I print off. I forget that I print off like tons of copies of things. I don't know why I do that. That actually helps me today. Okay, well, it's 8 p.m. Eastern and it is time to get started. So hello, welcome back to the Dear Jane Sew Along. Again, I am Anna and I am doing this fun little sew along. Love having everyone here. Thanks for joining me. Um, so, been out for a couple weeks. It's either 2 or 3 weeks. Bunch of stuff has happened. Either I've been sick or just other things happening in life. It sounds weird for some people, but not for me. But my dog has been sick. I know that sounds really weird. Or I've had family obligations, all kind of weird stuff happening. So I'm actually gonna close this. Okay, I see three of me, and that's really odd. I can deal with two, but not three. Um, so, uh, yeah, so I'm back, and we're really just doing a catch up tonight because the last time we were on, we were working on the first part of row two, and I really want to really get us start going. And I didn't get to explain row two the way I wanted to. So I want to talk about the curves in row two because we're going to be seeing some of those throughout the quilt. And if I'm not great at curves, I have never been good at sewing curves in quilts. I am terrible at it, so I had to figure out a little way for me. Now, you may be wonderful at doing it, so you may just like know quickly how to get them done. But here's the thing. When you print them out from either EQ8 or you use the book to trace the template or the pattern, or make a copy of it, it ends up that these pieces here end up being too short for here. I know it seems a little weird, and why that happens, I'm not quite sure. So I've got a couple little tips and tricks for you. So this is block B5. No, let me count here. B3. Yes, B3. So B2 and B3 are basically two curved blocks. I mean, you get a double whammy in row two. And so you got B1 and then right after that B2, B3, and boom, you're done. So let me show you mine. Now, I'm gonna have to redo B2 because I learned so much from this, but mine are off really badly. And you can see it right from the get-go. And if you can't see it, it's probably because you're staring at the circle here. But can you see right here? Let me zoom in. I'll show you better on the camera. But right where my fingers are, can you see how far off I am? And I intentionally left it this way so you can see how things can get, wonky. I may even just leave it because in the grand scheme of things, from far away, no one's going to notice, and there's so many blocks in the quilt. So it just might be a happy mistake that I just kind of leave in there and go, that is the one block that maybe someday someone will find and go, so I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. I don't mind little mistakes. However, my second circular block came out much better. I was super happy with this. I was super proud of myself. But it came out much better. So this little guy right here involves a little bit of paper piecing, and I mean like a very minor bit. And that is the centerpiece here. So if I were to quarter this, let's just look at it like this. So this is your top piece, and this is your bottom piece. So when you go to either use the template in the book or print it out in the Dear Jane software, you're going to paper piece these two, top and bottom, separately, because there's two colors in each part of them. But what I'm going to show you is on the easier block, where there's just two separate colors, just one color on the bottom, one color on the top. So that block, when you print it out, looks like this. And so I'm going to jump over to EQ8 just to show you where that block is and how I print it out through templates. We're not going to use the paper piecing part. We're just going to use the templates. So they changed a little bit in Zoom. It actually looks kind of cute. They kind of zhuzhed it up a little bit. Kind of has a cute little look to it now. There we go. So you're going to see the screen here. And I think, do I have to open it up like this? I think so. Hopefully you can see that. Now I like to have an extra thing happening over here, so I'll make sure that we can see what's going on together. Okay, so I'll find out here in just a minute that now, just so you guys know, for some reason, and I know this that through all my research, is that Zoom lags behind my actual time. So like I'm talking way before you see me. So if I stop and just kind of, that's what I'm doing. I'm just checking. So I am going to go and let me see. Let me pull up. Hopefully that shows up for you. The quilt itself. Let me stop share for just a second and let's make sure that I pull up the correct. There it is. That's what I wanted to pull up. I want to make sure I pull up the right screen. Okay. So when we have our quilt pulled up, and I want to look at the row 2 right here, and I want to look at it in depth. What I'm going to do is click on the plus sign here, and what you'll see off to the side here, you can see better. You'll see a little magnifying glass. And when you're using a mouse, you're just going to left click and hold and zoom in and like draw a little box. So, well, I was going to show you off to the side. Let's go back. Let's see. Let's hit our equal sign and that should get us. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's this one. There we go. So I'm going to show you off to the side. So you can draw a box around the area by left clicking, holding, and draw a box around the area you want to zoom in on. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around the area that I want to zoom in on. Well, I say that. There we go. Let's try that again. There we go. There she is right there. And I'm going to use my little keys down here to move directly in. So this is the block we're going to work on today. And I know this is not going to be a paper piece block. And how do I know that? Because you can kind of tell. You can't, I'm sure you can try to paper piece this, but I think it would be a disaster. So we're going to traditionally piece this, but we do want the templates to cut out our fabric with. Now, this one definitely calls for paper piecing. This one right here, if we split it just like a pie in 4 sections, these 2 are paper piece and these 2 are paper piece. And then we stitch them together just like a a curved block. So what I'm going to do, instead of hitting foundation paper piecing for this one, I have to make sure my block is selected that I'm going to use. So if I wanted to print out the templates for this block, I would make sure the green outline is on it. But we're going to do this one, and you can see the green outline right here. And I'm going to click templates this time. And I'm just going to leave everything the same. And I'm going to click preview first. So there it is. It's right there for me. Now, I can do something here. I can take and move these all around, give them some room, because you remember I told you, when we come to these templates or these paper pieces or whatever, we don't immediately cut directly on the line. We want a little fudge room. And I promise you that makes your life a lot easier on any paper piecing or templates, because when we go to lay our fabric on the back of that and go and trim, we have a little extra, paper there to kind of help us, not cut too much off. Because what we want to do just naturally is we want to come in and cut the inside line, and we don't. So this tricks our brain and makes us cut on this outside line. It's just safer. So when we go to trim out this, and I'll do this right here, after we're done moving these guys around, giving ourselves some room all around here, because we're going to be cutting some. I'm going to click down here because I want a lot of room around each block here, or each template. A lot of room, especially around these guys right here. And I'm going to, and this, I'm going to show you why here in a second. So then I would print, and it would go to my printer. Now I'm just going to stop share here for a minute. And since I have one printed out already, I'm going to show you quickly how I would cut out one of these. Where's my scissors? Here they are. Don't fall. Don't you dare fall. Okay. So when I go to cut one of these out, I am not going to cut directly on the line. On any paper piecing, I never cut directly on the line in the beginning. I do see out there that a lot of paper piecers do. That is fine if you want to. But for this purpose, definitely on this piece right here, do not cut on the line. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I want you to at least give it about 1/2 inch all the way around. And that's just kind of a visual. So I know you can't see what I'm doing, but here, I'll hold it up here in a second. So I got big chunks here. See the big chunks all around it? I'm even going to do it with a curve. And so it's going to kind of look like this. Are we going to waste a little bit of fabric? A little bit. Actually, this is going to save us today. This is going to make us a lot happier when we go to piece our curves. And I'm going to show you that here in just a moment, because that's what we're starting with today. The second thing I want today to show you is, as you're going along, go ahead and piece your blocks together. But what you want to notice is, in between each block, there is a little baby sashing. And some of them blend in. So if you're using white on white fabrics like this one, it blends in. You can't see it, but we can see it in between, let's say, these two blocks. So there's our little sashing right there. And that is 1 inch wide. So you cut it an exact inch wide. So when you're done, it's a 1/2 inch wide. This is the tiniest board or sashing I've ever worked with. So I was super nervous. But I found a way that I really like to piece it. I know you're thinking, oh, it's just, a border, blah, blah, blah. But I found a really cool tool. Well, a cool something I want to show you guys. You don't need this. I just found that I really like using it. So I'm going to show you that. So as you go along and you make your row, go ahead, and when you make the first block, it's this way. When you make your first block, you're going to add your sashing on. Make your second block, add it to that sashing, then add another piece of sashing on. Make your third block, add it, and then add a piece of sashing. That way, by the time you're done, you have your half a row done. And then when you have your second part of your row done, you can go ahead and stitch them together. And that way, by the time we get to the end, all of our rows are together and we do not have to worry about, a bunch of separate blocks laying around. Now, I learned this from Dee at Pixel Quilts, and I think it's genius. I've been doing this for so long, and I've never thought of this tip ever. And I'm so thankful. And that's why I love our community, is these little bitty tips. Perfect. Okay. So I am going to show you that. But what we're going to do now is I am going to jump over to my little cutting area, and I'm going to talk to you about that curved piecing part first and why we left so much room around this. So let's jump on over. That was the wrong place. We're going to come over here. Ta-da! There we go. That's where I want you to be. I say that and then I completely knock everything over. Now, if you know me and you've been following me for a long time, I've had a Facebook group for a few years now. This happens quite often. It actually happens a lot because I am not good at this stuff. So I'm a little crooked still, so let's fix that. Okay, I think it's this guy right here. I'm always knocking something over, but it adds to the ambiance of Forever BB Louise. Okay, so I've already got some of the blocks made, or some of the parts of the blocks made, just for time purposes. But what I wanted to show you, and I probably shouldn't have went ahead and cut these out, because what I would do, I'm gonna grab these pieces here since I had some extras. But what I would do on this piece here is I would rough cut around it. Again, I am not cutting on any. Now it's just on these guys. I'm going to just do it kind of close. Now on any paper piecing, any templates, I always leave a little extra on the side. I would take whatever fabric I'm using. I use a little bit of glue, a glue stick, put a piece there, and then I'll put my fabric here. If I had a little piece of fabric, I'd put a piece of fabric here. I will flip it over, and then that's when I go and trim on the outside. Okay, so that's what I did with this little girl right here. Second, what I would do is for this piece here, let's grab that big honking piece here. I would do the same thing. I would grab my piece of fabric. I would lay my piece of fabric on the back of this. Well, I would put some glue down, and I would do kind of follow with the glue. So I'd go like that to hold up kind of all the edges down just a little bit. And I put it on the back there, and this is what I would do. Okay, watch me. We're pretending we have fabric on. I would take my ruler, and I would, from this edge, so let me zoom in, show you. I hope that's a little blurry. Blurry, that's a new word, blurry. Blurry is blurry and glary at the same time. So this line right here, what I'm going to do is take my 3/4 inch mark and lay it on there. And if I had any excess, I'm going to trim that off. That's why you always want your fabric a little bit bigger anyways. So you might just have the fabric hanging over. Doesn't matter if this piece is bigger, but at least the fabric you want from this line right here, you want about 3/4 of an inch hanging over. Same thing right here, and that's about right, 3/4 of an inch hanging over. Now for the straight sides, we really only need anywhere between probably about 1/2 inch. So we're going to do 1/2 inch. Don't yell at me. I am cutting paper with these, but this is the paper piecing paper, which is really thin. So anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch, let's say that. Okay. Remember, we're pretending our fabric's on the back. And then is when I can take a very sharp pair of scissors. Now, these are my paper scissors. And I would come in and I can cut the curve right to the line. This part is fine to cut right to the line. Now remember, my fabric will be there and my template will be there. Okay. So it'll look something like this. Now this, I didn't leave enough on the edge, but at least I have about a 1/4 inch. Actually, it's closer to about a 1/2 inch hanging out the edge. So let's look at it from here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So we have about 3/4 inch each side, and anywhere from a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch hanging out the edge. The curve was cut to the cut line. Why am I leaving so much outside? Because Anna needs as much help as she can get, and this seemed to work out perfectly. Let me turn mine. Okay. Okay. So where is my little piece? So now what I can do, since these are just templates, you can save these for other projects if you want, because they're completely reusable. I'm going to pull these off because these are not paper pieces. These are just templates. And what we're going to do is I'm going to hold this up here so you can see. Do you see how the edges are hanging off? And when I go to piece this together, this block is going to be way too big. That's going to help us square it up to the 5 inch or 5 by 5 inch size. I decided to leave a little extra because we have, when we're kind of cutting it this way and we go to put this on and start stretching it around, we kind of have a bias. So we lose some of our height, I guess. So that's why I decided to add extra inches or extra, I guess, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch on the top, because we can always cut it off. Remember, you can always cut off more. You can't put back on. I was a hairdresser for a long time. So that still translates to sewing. So we can always cut more off. We can't put any back on. So the next thing that I like to do, you do not have to do this, is I will take this piece, fold it right sides together, and I will take and kind of just press this little guy right here. I will take my fabulous Oliso mini iron, which I love, and just press the tip, open it up, and I have this nice little crease. And that's just in the center of the curved part. Now this top piece, I'm actually, let's pretend that this is the front, because it is solid, and this is the back. Okay, so front and back. Okay, so what I want to do now is flip it to the back and fold. Wait, I'm sorry. Yep, that's right. I want to. Am I doing that right? Hold on, it'll take me a moment to get. If I don't have regular fabric, I get so confused. Okay, so I went this way with this one. That means I need to go back. I need to fold the two. I need it to fold it where the two back sides are touching. So the wrong sides are touching. And then at this point right here, I'm going to press just right there. I'm also going to go ahead and press that markings I wrote on there, because this is the Frixon pen. And I only really use Frixon on very light fabrics. Now watch what happens. So if I zoom in a little bit, I'm going to take this crease and put it inside of this crease. So they fit together now. And I'm going to take, where my pens go? I guess right here. So we'll put them right there. All right. So I am going to now, and I'm going to think what I'm going to do is turn the light down just a little bit, because it seems a little bright. So it's going to get really bright, and then let's try one more time. There we go. As bright as, I guess that's as light as I'm going to get. Okay, so now what I'm going to do in that center piece, and again, this is just the way I do it. If you have a better way, please do whatever way is comfortable to you. Again, I'm terrible at it, so I had to come up with a system. Okay, so I put a pin right there. Now here's the thing. If I'm going to do a curved block, it has to be set in stone, which means I have to pin the heck out of it. So I am now going to take and start gently. Don't pull on it. Zoom this in a little bit. I'm going to gently start kind of, I hate to say folding it, but moving it along this curve. And what I want to be careful of, yeah, you see me kind of folding out of the way, but what I want to be careful of is not doing that. I don't know if you can see that, not making a full fold. I'm trying to stay away from a fold. I don't want a little, fold when I go to sew, but I'll show you if I get one, how I can get that out really easily without unstitching the whole thing. So now I'm just going to kind of pin along this. And honestly, I probably will never do a full curved quilt. It's just not my jam. I mean, it's beautiful and I love when other people do them, but it does not make me happy. Paper piecing makes me happy. Traditional piecing makes me happy. Embroidery makes me happy, but curved sewing does not make me happy. I do not get excited by it, but I will definitely do it for this quilt. So I'm going to. All right, so I moved it all the way around. Yes, we have some hanging off. I want that for me, for Anna, for her safety reasons. Because if I can trim it off, that's good. But if I'm have it where it comes up too short, that's bad. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing. Now, here's the thing for me. It gets awkward on this side for me, so I might have to stop and reconfigure, and that's okay. So I'm going to put a pin there. And I probably need to grab one. I've got a needle here. I'm going to grab one more of those. And now I'm going to gently pull it around. We're on the bias, but you still want to be super careful. Do not stretch. Anything on the bias, you definitely want to be super careful of. Because if we stretch it too much and we go to sew it, when we're done sewing, what will happen? So when something's stretchy and we pull it out and stitch it, when we're done, it's going to go, it's going to move back in, kind of like a piece of elastic. It's going to go boing. So we want to be very careful. We're just placing it there. We're not pulling it into place. And I'm trying to keep those folds out of there. That was the trickiest part for me. I had to do this a few times to figure out, how am I going to keep those folds out? And it was just practicing. Here we go. Perfect. All right. So it's going to look like a porcupine at this point, and to be very careful. But now what we're going to do is we're going to take it over to the sewing machine. This part is painfully tedious, but I'd rather go very slow when I'm stitching this than go fast and hurt myself. So we're going to switch over to the other camera. And let me meet you there. I finally found my other camera. I thought I lost it forever. But this is my favorite camera of all time. I've been using this for teaching for about 15 years, and I misplaced it. Okay, so what I'm going to use for this is a 1/4 inch foot. But this is a 1/4 inch foot without the guide. And the reason why I'm not using the one with the guide is because the guide will get in the way, especially when I come up to the pins. So I sound like I said the pins, but I mean the pins. So if you do not have one of these, what you'll want to do is take your regular stitching foot and move your needle to over, or put a piece of tape on here to get your perfect 1/4 inch. And you'll run, you'll try to stay in line with that. But you definitely want something without any hindrance on it. So I'm going to snap it on, pull this little guy back. And now when I start sewing, I'm not going to start up here. I want to start on my little tab here. So I'm going to draw and I'm going to drop my needle. And now I'm just going to start going for it. And let's get up and down. I don't think it's too bright. Let me look. No, I don't think so. I'm also going to use a little stylus. I just like to have a little extra help right there. If you don't want to use one, that is a-okay. Now, once I come right up to the pin, I'm going to pull it out. This is my PSA for pins. And every now and then I get shamed for this. And but what you need to remember about me is I have worked in the sewing or the quilting, whatever industry for a long time, but a lot of my career was spent in sewing machine shops. And not just quilt shops, but sewing machine shops. And I loved to go back and watch the techs, and I would ask all kind of questions. I wanted to be a tech, but I was better at selling than I was at teching. And so I learned all the tricks. Their number one advice was never sew over a pin. And I get every time I say that, someone always pops up and says, it's okay. Actually, it's not okay. So I'm going to tell you, don't sew over your pins, because if you do, you can throw your timing off and your machine will have to go in for a spa day. And it may be a spa month. Just want to throw that out there. Okay, PSA done. All right, so here we go. We're going to stop right before the pin. And again, I'm going to be keeping the edge of my curve right with the edge of the foot, my 1/4 inch. And again, I'm just going to go slow. Okay, I'm going to remove that pin. And I'm going to come up. Now, what you might see here, I think that's a little bright. I'm just going to darken it just a little bit, just so you can see my fabric better. It might look a little dim, but you can see I've got a little bitty fold happening here, and I'm going to show you how I deal with that here in a moment. So I'm going to come up to my pin. I'm going to pull it out. And then there's that little bitty crease right there. So what I like to do is fold with my stylus and kind of smooth that out, kind of behind. I don't know if you kind of saw me push it behind like that with my finger, and it ends up smoothing it out. As long as you haven't gone already stitched over that fold, it should work itself out. And if it doesn't, I've got a trick for you. Maybe I should just put a fold in there so I can show you. I might do that. So again, same thing. I came up, there's a little bit of a fold. And these pieces are so small that it looks like I'm sewing super slow, but it goes by really. And I think I'll put a little, no, we'll put the tuck up. We'll put the little fold up. Okay, so again, I'm going to be folding it down, and then I'm going to come up close to that fold, and I'm going to just kind of get it out of the way. That kind of smooths it out. Come up to the pin, let's remove it. And I'm going to create a pucker or a fold right here. We don't want one, but I'm going to make it. So there we go. Now I'm going to come up and still sew. If I see a little yellow or fabric hanging out there, I'm not got it, guys. It's not going to freak me out because these are already hard enough. Trying to get them perfect. Nope. All right. So now I'm coming to the end. I can go a couple stitches up, and then I'm going to sew completely off. There we go. Cut our threads, and let's take a look. Give us a little bit more light. Okay, here we go. So now I've got this. Oh, that's looking good. Here, there's another. That might be a little tucker. No, that's just a fold. Okay, that's just where I pressed it with my fingers. Okay, so yours is going to have some of these. Now, some of them are going to look like they have been like stitched that way. They're not. That's just the way you're pushing the fabric. But this one definitely is. So you don't have to unstitch the whole thing. What you're going to do is get your seam ripper. You're going to come up to that one and you're just going to start there and just unstitch from there. Don't worry about unstitching the whole thing. I know that is like silly. That's like, oh, Anna, I already knew that. But that's the way that, that I'm going to fix it. So I'm going to, what am I doing? Don't put the pen in your mouth either. Do as I don't do. All right, so I'm going to put the pen back there and then pen over here. Now, there's one thing I am going to do. Instead of just starting by stitching directly on the line, I'm actually going to come a little further back and start stitching and then meet the line. So I'm going to be stitching from here to the line. And that way, that will, I don't know how to explain it, but that way I'm just not starting and then have loose threads. It's going to be caught in the seam. Okay, here we go. Oh, where's my stylus? Okay. Get a hold of her. And now as I come up to it, I can flatten that little area out. Now, of course, if you're getting all puckers all the way across, just unstitch the whole thing. But you really don't. You can just go. Now I'm going to stitch all the way off. Okay, cool. Let's see how we did this time. Much better. Again, these are not folds. They're just where I was pressing on the fabric. So let's take this back over to the other side and we're going to play with it there. Okay. All right. So here we go. We're going to zoom out a little bit. See all the mess over here? I know, it's fancy. One day, I'm going to have a fancy setup. I won't know what to do with it, but I'll have it. Now, the other thing I do like to have for these is just a little spray bottle full of water. We're just going to lightly spray this guy. Now, before I do anything, I'm going to press it flat. And it's up to you if you want to press it with the seam going towards the outside or towards the inside. I found it harder to put the seam towards the inside, and just depending on the fabric, I think, if your fabric has a really good weave to it, it'll fold nicely out. So rather than just going and putting a hot iron on it or a steam iron on it, I'm going to just lightly, very lightly mist it with some water. And this is why, again, I want this part to be bigger, because that's going to help us get rid, I might do a little bit more. That's going to help us get rid of some of these like little the little folds that when I was sewing and I was pulling the needles out and stuff, that's going to help get that much smoother. Just rub it in. So now I can come and press. We're pressing, not ironing. Already looking better. Okay, and then I do like to come in from the back and give it a press. And then I sometimes see these little wobbly lines. This is where I will go in and go against Quilter's rules and just kind of give it a little bit of an iron, maybe with the tip a little bit, just to try to get those out. If they don't, eventually they will, because after it's quilted and all that, it won't be. But ta-da, there we go. So now what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to take it. It doesn't look so bad. And I'm going to take my ruler. And now what I'm going to do is trim off these little points. My new favorite tool that I just got this week is the Quilter Select 1.5 inch by 12 inch ruler. This is so cool. You don't know how much you're going to use a skinny ruler until you get one. It's like so uncumbersome. Usually I use the 2.5 by 12, but this one's been so awesome because it's light and I can just, when I'm squaring up things, it's just perfect. It's not too big or anything. Okay, so I cleaned up those edges just right there. I'm not doing the outside yet. I'm just doing the inside. So now what I want to do is I'm going to kind of put these together, and you're going to notice there's going to be some offage. That's okay, because we can fix that. Like I think there's one block in here that's like a little bit bigger than everything else. I can't remember which one it was. And it's just because we left some of the outsides bigger, but this is going to be a super cute block. This is my tulip king. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to worry right now about how things aren't matching too well. What I want to do is I'm going to stitch these together, but the thing that I want to align are, well, you can't even see what I'm doing. What I want to align are the little circular edges here. I'm not going to worry about getting these points perfect up here because they're not just yet. All I'm concerned about is I want this point and this point to be. So I am going to get my glue stick and I'm just going to put a little dab on that area. And it's just what I like to do. Just holds things in place together. And I'm going to take, of course, that little edge and put it right there. See if we can do. And I'm not going to really care about anything else. See how much, yep, see? And really, honestly, it's because some of these outside edges are not the same. I'll come back and trim that, okay? So give me a split second so I don't have to keep switching back and forth. I'm just going to do a quick 1/4 inch seam. Same thing with these two right here. I'm going to take my blue, and this is just a quick way of like not having to, pin it or anything. You do not have to use glue. You can pin if you want. Well, that didn't feel like anything. Try this again. Yeah, press hard. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna take these two, line them up together, just on those two little edges. I don't know, and then get them as straight as possible. And I'm going to stitch those two together off camera here. Okay. Now I've got my two pieces. I'm going to move this out of the way for just a second. Close my blade. Y'all should have got on to me. All right. No. Oh, you know what? I need that back first. And the reason why I want it back is because as it's closed right now, what I'm going to do to this top part is trim it even. I find it easier for me to trim it while it's closed rather than while it's open. It's just better for me. Do it however you want. So I'm going to put the edge of my ruler right there, and I'm going to try to line it up with the turquoise color the best I can. I might have a little turquoise hanging out. That just means it's not cleaned up and even, so that's fine. I'm going to make them even. There we go. Now that's a pretty edge right there. Let's go do the other side. Kind of happened with the yellow ones, huh? Gonna do the same thing. Remember, I have so much extra on the white side, it's not going to throw us off that much. Okay, so I'm going to do my straight line on the bottom here. Clean that up a little bit. The other thing I'm going to do is take a look. Pretty darn close. I'm good with close. Pretty good, Anna. kind of proud of myself there. All right, so let's move this out of the way, and now we're going to press them. And I'll show you a little trick. Take them and have them going the exact same direction. So we're going to have them go in the exact same direction. And we're going to press them to one side. With these colors, doesn't matter which side. So you can press to the turquoise or the yellow, whatever you want. So I'm going to take and press both of them to the yellow. But I want to make sure the circles are going the exact same way. Okay. So I don't want them going like this. I want them going like this. So I'm going to open up and give it a baby bit of a press. I'm going to press. And while that one is doing that, I'm going to put my clapper on top of that. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. I'm going to press in the exact same direction. Give her a little bit of a press. Probably enough on that one. Pressers make your seam so much nicer and flat. I love it. So I'm going to do that here, and I'm just going to take a second. We're going to look at this. Look how good that, I mean, I'm off of here, but you know what? If someone comes up after me and says something about it, they are not my friend. They are definitely not my quilty friend. Because quilty friends will never point out your mistakes. And if they do, they're not your friend. All right, so here we go. So now what we have, I'm going to flip them over and show you. Because they're going the same way, these guys are going the same way. But if I take one of them and flip them around, they're now going opposite ways. And so what does that mean we can do? We can lock these. So I'm going to turn these this way. I'm going to take this piece, and I'm going to take this piece, and we're going to lock them together. If you've never done this, it's super cool. So what that means is I can take and put this one here and this one here. And if I kind of open it up a little bit, they meet and they lock. So kind of a cool trick I learned from the beginning of my quilting journey with Eleanor Burns, who is my quilting goddess. Then what you want to check is make sure these match, right here. And mine are matching. I am so happy. They might be off a hair, but pretty darn good. And I am going to pin right around there. I do like pins. I like clips. I like stuff like that. And hopefully these two are going to meet. I mean, yeah, pretty good. I'm going to pin right there. And then again, off camera, I'm just going to go ahead and stitch it together just to save time, not having have you guys worry about switching cameras and stuff. And then, so it'll just take me a quick second. Again, I'm a slow sewer, so just bear with me. I just don't trust myself going too fast. So. All right, so almost there. And then, okay, we have this guy. And now when I open it up, if you've never done this technique, what I'm going to do is I am going to take the three, or there's either one or two or three little stitches right here. I'm going to unstitch them or seam rip them and pull them out. And I'm going to do it on both sides. Because what that's going to create is the coolest little four patch on the back. So I'm going to open it up and go push this side down and that side up. Sometimes you have one that's hanging on for dear life. We're just going to help her along. And look how cute is that little baby four patch. Okay, so now I'm going to give that a press. Yeah. I do press from the back and then to the front because I don't like, personally, I'll show you in a minute when I flip to the front. I don't like if it's like too much over, if you know what I mean. So I like to check, and it's not. It's doing beautifully. I don't know about this. This side I might need to push back a little bit. So I am having a little bit of that problem. And again, I'm off a little bit, but you know what? Don't care. Right now at this point, I am just proud I got through this process. And these little extra blocks I'm doing are going to be their own little mini quilt. So excited. Okay, so I'm going to put that right there, and then we're going to trim it up to 5 inches. Almost done with this block. I think she looks pretty cute. She's a pretty girl. All right, so we're going to put this back. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. Okay, just a little. And then, where's my square? There's my square. So then I have my fun little square here. So this is a 6-inch square, but I know I'm going to be using the 5-inch. I could block that off, and then I could find the 2.5-inch mark, just right here, along with the 2.5. Okay, but that's a little confusing. So let me see here. Okay, so 2.5. Where's my other two? I get really confused, so give me just a second. I am not a numbers girl. So there's my 5. Let me look at my 5. So here's our 5. And then what's half of 5? 2.5, right? So 1, 2.5. And then we've got 1, 2.5. Was that my button there? Might be it. So I am going to put my center there. I think that's way too. I just want to double check here. And you can see how much extra. Let's zoom back a little bit so you can see how much extra I have. But that's good. Why? Because I have more than I need, so I can cut off more than, So let's make sure I've got that right. So I've got 1, 2.5, 1, 2.5. And where are these two going to meet up? So there. Making sure I got that right. And you guys are probably screaming at me going, no, that's not it. But I just want to double check I'm right. I think that's right. Yeah. So I'm going to put that in the center of this cute little circle. And again, try to keep the lines all together. And now I'm going to trim off the excess. Ready? Because I want a 5-inch block. And hopefully I did that right. If not, I'll just remake it. And then I love this Sue Daly spinny. So fun. And now I can just go to my 5-inch. My 5-inch line. Square it up. And look there. Make sure I get on some good lines there. And then my 5-inch block is ready. And you see why I had you add that extra fabric on. Oof. Because having less fabric. Now, I don't do this for any of the other blocks, but look, it's done. I did it. So cute. So stinking cute. Perfect. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you. And I'm not going to add it. Yeah. So this one's a little confusing because this looks like it already has the extra piece that we need for our sashing. But this is part of the block. So part of the block is to have this sashing. I should have done this outer part in this gold. That would have been really cute. But I didn't. So when we are looking at the addition of our sashing block, so this block goes next to this block. So this piece is going to go in between these two. And yeah, it's going to look weird because everything's all white, right? It's all red. I do like to cut my sashings just a little bit longer. It's just kind of what I do. That way I know I'm going to have enough. It is 5-inch blocks, but sometimes I cut too short. And with this fabric, I know it's a little less expensive. So I spray starched it a little bit, cut it longer, and pressed it and gave it a good little, just want to make sure. Sometimes it's hard to see what side is the right side. So I found this super cool product. Actually, my friend Ashley from Dogwood Trail Quilt Company turned me on to it. Actually, I'm gonna pull this out. And it actually has made my piecing life so much better. You don't want to use this in paper piecing, I promise you. I tried it. It makes the taking the paper out so hard. But what this this is a precision seam fabric glue. So you can do this on any of your quilts when you're piecing. So instead of pins, you can use this. And what you do is you take a little bit of this, and I put it in 3 spaces. It's just a little glue. I believe it's water soluble. I'll have to double check. And I put a dot right here. You can't see it. It's so clear. I put a dot right here. I think it's, there we go. Clean the end off there. Dot right there, and a dot right there, just 3. And then I'm going to take my piece here. Just going to line it up. And then all I have to do is take my little, hold on one second. I'm tangled up. 1 second, you guys. Don't want that. What happened earlier? So then I just take my iron and press it until that glue dries, or, you know, get it as close as possible to the glue. And I am not affiliate for them. So I just wanted to show you something, a new product that I know they've been around forever. They're called Acorn. I just haven't used them before. They're the Acorn. What is it called? There we go. Easy Precision Piecing System. And Ashley turned me onto it, and I'm like hooked. So now what I'm going to do is really, okay. And so you can see that I don't have to pin anything. I can just go straight to, move this out of the way. I'm just going to piece this really quick. I'll bring it right back over to you here in just a split second. Just doing my 1/4" seam. The second part is, I mean, I love this first part, but the second part's really cool. So the second part of it is a easy press pin. Now I use a clapper a lot, but I don't have to with this. This is so cool. And again, I would not use this on every project. I would just kind of pick and choose, but this is really cool. So what I'm going to do is, this is a liquid. I know it's kind of hard to see. You press down to get the liquid moving, and it comes with extra liquid. Yeah, comes with extra liquid. And then what I'm going to do is run this liquid right down the stitch line. Just right over, down the center of it, right over here. Just like that. Don't need a lot. Drop back on. And then I'm going to fold it over, and watch how flat this gets. Just pressing. Especially for these little pieces. Do you know if you've ever stitched with little bitty pieces like this, it's hard to make them super flat because they like to bounce up and you're trying to sew with them. Look how flat. I did not use my clapper. Oh, love it. So now I'm going to add this piece on, do the same thing. Actually, I'm going to trim those sides off first before I move on. I like to do that before I move on to the next piece. And I have to turn it towards me. I am not like these wonderful people I see on Instagram. They can like cut every different way, and I'm in awe of those girls. Like, I have to have it go a certain way. There we go. So I want to get those pieces off now. I did not throw that on the floor. I have trash can beside me. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put 3 little dots of the Acorn glue down. Always put one in the center. And you can use this on any quilt piecing, except, again, I would warn against paper piecing. I tried it, and it's hard to get the paper out when you're done. So now I'm going to put this little guy on top. I'm going to press. And if you use it, let me know you use it. I mean, it's so cool. Like, we could have, well, no, we couldn't. We could have used it in the piecing part of this, putting everything together. Couldn't use it in the curve part. I mean, you probably could if you were really good. And you probably are way better at it. I'm going to quickly stitch it again. You guys are, I'm sure, whizzes at curves. I'm just terrible at curves. We can't be good at it all. Actually, I'm good at about 20%. I just fake it, throw it away. Just kidding. Okay. So now I make sure that the sashings all go inwards. Okay. So what that means is there's my sashing right here. And so both sides are going to go inwards. So let me show you a better example here. So what the sashings in between here, these two blocks, I press them inwards. So one isn't going one way and one's going the other. I just want it all consistent. I want it all consistent. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is take my pen. I am going to run it along the inside here. Along my seam line. I'm going to press it down. And now give it a press. I could do this from the front. I could do it from the back. Whatever works. I just wanted to show you that cool little trick. Some people already have some of these products in their home and they're not using them yet because they're like, I don't know really why I bought this or whatever. But oh my gosh, look. Okay, so this is it right here, right where my finger is. Look how crisp that is. No pins and a beautiful, no clapper. Now, I'm always going to use my clapper, but I use no clapper for that. Oh, love it. Okay. So, you have Terry? Oh, it's so cool, isn't it? Okay, I just turned around, sorry. I just turned around to see everything. So, it's such a cool product. I think my girl Ashley for showing it to. Well, she pieced a whole quilt with it, and I'm like, and then I got my mom some, and I was just like, oh, I gotta get my mom some, and I gotta get, it's some really cool stuff. I'm excited I bought it, and I didn't start. I gotta admit, I didn't start using it for a while, and then I was like, okay, well, I gotta use it because I bought it from Ashley, and I wanted to make sure that I used what I was supposed to, what I bought from her because she's an amazing person and friend, and she has beautiful fabrics and all that and all kind of cool stuff. And if she swears by it, I know it's good stuff. And so I started using it literally probably about a month ago, and I'm like, why haven't I not used this yet? So you have used it for kind of, isn't Judy Newmeyer paper piecing? So you have used it for that then. I found it was hard for me to use it in paper piecing, and I don't know why. Maybe it just works for one person better, good for you. And like for me, I would just, I don't know. But y'all know me. Y'all know what a disaster I am half the time. So there you go. Um, okay, cool. Well, I hope that little catch up helped. Next week we will get back on row to A7 through A13, and we're gonna get this party started. Let's start going. Let's start moving. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a great week. Of course, if you are have any questions, let me know. You can do it in the group. You can make a comment on here and it will it is Terry. See, I thought it was. Okay. Well, maybe I'll have to try it again. So I will if you come back and you have a question, you type it in here, they send me something. One other thing I want to mention to you, those of you who have IQ Designer or the Brother Like machine with My Design Center, I am doing a Dream Big class, and that is based off of these beautiful Dream Big panels. Um, these are the small ones, by the way. Let me show you how small they can get. Aren't they cute? Look at the baby ones. I have to get small ones because I'm going to be working off of two machines. So I love this one right here. I actually got them in a really cool, like I think it's dark purple or something like that color. But these are great for pillows, and this is a great size for practice. And the little one too. Like that's going to be really pretty neutral, like neutral colors. That is on June the 8th. You can go to my website, foreverbblouise.com, if you want to sign up. The class is only $20. It is a Zoom class. So if you have any questions, let me know. Either website, you can ask questions through there. You can ask questions through here. Works great on curves. See, you read Eric curves because I am terrible at See, that's way better at curves. Maybe, yeah, you know, I need to look that up. How to use something like that with curves. Or maybe they have a video, because that would be really fun to learn. Okay, I'm gonna say it. I'm not good. I'm not good at curves. But I tried, and that's all that matters. So yeah, okay. Everybody have a great week. I will see you all next week. And yeah, have questions, let me know. Remember, shop local, shop small. See y'all soon. Bye, everyone.